Today we are doing Module 4, Lesson 14, and you can see today's learning goal and today's lesson is going to be very similar to yesterday's. Yesterday we talked about multiplying unit fractions by other unit fractions. We reminded ourselves that a unit fraction is any fraction where the numerator is 1. Today we're going to be multiplying unit fractions by non-unit fractions. A non-unit fraction is anything that is not a unit fraction. So any fraction where the numerator is not 1. Does that make sense? And we're still going to be using the strategy of using rectangular fraction models and shading in things twice and labeling and using numbers to help us. Okay, let's first take a look at the problem of the day, which reviews yesterday's math goal. You can see we have 2 unit fractions. So you can see here that I showed that Jan has 3/5 of a box by showing that, or not of a pan, by showing that the entire rectangular fraction model is worth 1, and I cut it into fifths. And I shaded in 3 of the fifths. Go ahead and do that. And she's not going to send all 3/5 of the pan to school. Instead, she's going to send 1/3 of them to school. So I divided then horizontally the pan into thirds, and I shaded in 1/3. We can see now that the entire pan is split into how many equal sized sections? There's 5 going across and 3 going down. So how many? 15. Good. Our pan is split into 15ths. How many of those 15ths are shaded twice? 3/15. So what fraction of the pan did she send? 3/15 of the pan. However, what do we know about 3/15?
It can be simplified.
It can be simplified because 3 and 15 are both divisible by
3.
So 3/15 is equal to? So she sent 1/5 of the pan to school. Okay. Let me show you using numbers. This time she had 3/5, but she's sending 1/3 of the 3/5 to school. We know that this is equal to 1/3 times 3/5. And so on our numerators, we have 1 times 3 all over 3 times 5. Okay, which of course is equal to 3/15, which once again takes us back to simplified 1/5. This time, how much did Jan make altogether? 3/4 of a pan. So let's show that. We can show that here's 1 whole pan. Jan didn't have time to make all of the pan. She only had time to make 3/4 of the pan. And so I'm going to shade in 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. And of course I'm going to label it as such. Then we know she sent 1/3 of those treats to school. So I'm going to cut it horizontally into thirds. And I'm going to say she's going to send this middle third this time. She likes to save the edge pieces for herself. I'm going to label that that's 1/3. Now, at this point, Jan's entire pan of brownies is cut into how many equal-sized units?
12.
12s, good. And how many of those 12s did she send to school? What?
3 12.
Maham, how do we know it's 3/12 and not 1/12? I love your fabulous fail.
Yeah, I accidentally shaded 1/3 instead of 2.
You shaded in 1/12 instead of 3/12,
Yeah.
right? Don't forget, she's bringing in 1/3 of all of what she made. If what Maham did was this, you guys, for those of you who couldn't see her paper, she only shaded in that much. If she only shaded in that much, what fraction of all of the brownies she made did Jan bring? 1/9. That's not what it says, right? Because do you see how the red part is only 1 out of 9 of those sections? But careful, it's actually 1/3. Now, 1/3 is shaded in. Do you guys see that?
Yeah.
So that's a really good, fabulous fail. Thank you for making that. Okay, 3/12 can be simplified into 1/4 of the whole pan. Very good. It's not 1/4 of what she made. It's 1/3 of what she made, right? But it's 1/4 of the whole pan. Let's use numbers to confirm. She had 3/4 of a pan, but she's sending 1/3 of it. So that's equal to 1/3 times 3/4, which is 1 times 3 over 3 times 4, which is of course equal to 3/12. Now, Do you guys see how we have multiplication in the top and multiplication in the bottom of our fraction? 1 times 3 over 3 times 4. Everything there is a factor, so we can see that these are common factors. I could divide by 3 over 3. Do you guys see that? So I can kind of simplify before I multiply if I want. And we'll talk about that more later. But that allows me to have it already be simplified. Even if we have no Rice Krispie treats and no Jan, we still can draw a rectangular fraction model. Because I know some of you guys are already thinking, okay, well this is easy. 1 times 4 over 2 times 5 equals 4 over 10, which I can simplify to 2/5. My answer is 2/5. And if you did that, you would not be wrong. The answer is 2/5. Easy peasy. However, I want to show you how we still can and you still must draw a rectangular fraction model. How do I rewrite 1/2 times 4/5 using something of something? We know that the multiplication symbol means of, right? So this is really the same thing as 1/2 of 4/5. Do you guys agree? Yes? Okay. Then we're ready to draw our picture. Do we show 1/2 first or do we show 4/5 first when we draw our picture?
4/5.
Very good. So we show our rectangular fraction model. We show that the whole rectangle is worth 1. And I'm going to first show 4/5. So I'm going to divide it into fifths. And I'm going to shade in 4 of them, and I'm going to label it as 4/5. Okay. Then I want to show half of it. So I'm going to cut the entire thing into half. And as Maham reminded us, I'm going to doubly shade in not just one box, but I'm going to shade in half of the entire shaded thing. Okay, so how many of those sections are doubly shaded in? 4, right? There's 1 here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, how many total units is it divided into? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So the answer is 4/10, which if I simplify it, becomes 2/5. So even if you just see fraction multiplication, you can interpret it as a fraction of another fraction, and then you can and need to draw a rectangular fraction model.